This AirBnBust lost $20,000, and this structure over here is the reason why. We had to pay $8,000 in building permitting costs and architecture plans. But first, let's go ahead and take a quick tour, run through some numbers, and then I'll go ahead and tell you at the end why we're profiting so much now. So first of all, we walk into this beautiful hallway. One thing to really note is the beautiful mural. This is obviously a really big eye catcher for a lot of people, so they'll go ahead and enter the home and they're like, dang, this is cool. It just brought me from the city to the desert pretty much immediately. We hired an artist to do this part, and I think it's probably one of my favorite things about this house. Otherwise, everything that you see here was picked out by our designer. A lot of times people are kind of curious, like if they're like me and they're only good with numbers, like, man, how do I figure out the design? Like, how do I know this rug goes with this table? And honestly, again, this is just like separating out tasks. And if you have a designer to pick that out, they're gonna take care of it for you. And if you don't like something, what actually works very well is sometimes designers will send you lists. It'll be like on email, and they'll say, oh, this is the table I'm gonna buy, this is the couch I'm gonna buy, those are the lamps I'm gonna buy, and you see one like, this doesn't match. You can deny it and just say, hey, can you pick out something else? What it does to have the designer is basically have someone focusing directly on that, because at the end of the day, for Airbnb, the design is technically your product. And here at the kitchen, we first got these nice countertops, beautiful white cabinets. Everything is basically ready to go. So if you are thinking about starting an Airbnb, this is kind of things you want to be looking for, just to make sure it looks modern and beautiful. And one of the best parts about this Airbnb is actually it came like this. So instead of taking the time to rip out old cabinets, putting new countertops in, this was already in place. And you're wondering, what's the benefit of that? And the benefit is because this business is dependent on whether the house is ready or not. If this is already in place, these are minor things. All you have to do is buy things like utensils, knives, paper towels, and make lists of things for your cleaners to have in place so they know what to replace. And once that's done, it's pretty much automatic versus trying to take 3 months to have contractors come in and install all these things. As we move along, we have the dining room, and there's really not much to say about this. The best thing I could recommend is make sure you pick a table that's very durable. This one has been already a year and it still looks pretty much in pristine condition. The chandelier is really cool, and this is actually a really big piece. If you actually look on the listing, if they're really like kind of flashy, it'll actually bring a larger audience in, and you just have a better chance of getting the booking. All right, so come on over, guys. First thing we're gonna see in this hallway is actually this beautiful restroom. Keeping it simple, keeping it clean. And because it was relatively minimal adjustments, we were able to save a lot of money. We were able to get this done in less than $1,000. So come on over, we got our first room, the master bedroom. And the first thing we're gonna check out is this really cool pack and play. We offer this at all of our short-term rentals. And it's just kind of a nice touch for people who are bringing their families. Other than that, keep the place nice and simple. We got a really cool king bed. They really appreciate that. We buy a brand called Zionist, and it's just based off of Amazon. Feels pretty good. We got a lot of good compliments on it. We have 3 TVs in the house total. We did consider getting 1 for each room, but honestly, when you're in the national park, you're here more to experience nature. So we thought 1 in the master should be good, 1 in the living room, and 1 in the yoga room. Quick glance into the corner of our toilets, and we get our second bedroom. Again, pretty simple design. We just have that fan again so people can adjust the temperature of that. Beautiful artwork on this wall, beautiful queen bed. Huge closet space, thankfully, so if you have family again, and if you need extra storage, go ahead and just shove it right into the closet. Last but not least, we got our amazing third bedroom. Looks pretty much the same, beautiful art, 2 really cool lights. We have our nightstands, another queen size bed, and nice closet space for you. We got blackout curtains. A lot of people, they come here for vacation and they love their sleep. So get these. People will thank you for it on your reviews. We're gonna check out the last room, which is our cool game room, and I think you're really gonna enjoy this, and all of our guests love it. We transformed this garage into a game room, mainly because guests really appreciate it. Especially, again, what we talked about, there are a lot of families that come in here, and just by having this ping pong table, they're really able to bond with each other and create those really wonderful memories. And if you want to have repeat customers, by providing these wonderful experiences and just doing really fun things like having a ping pong table or pool table where you can laugh, have a drink, just talk about life and catch up, this is kind of what makes memories, and they're more likely to book the place again if we have really cool amenities like this. Just a quick look into this, we have the Sensi Emerson thermostat, and this thermostat actually lets you check the temperature on an app on your phone from anywhere in the world. And that way you can go and automate. So say your tenants leave and then they turn it all the way up to 80, you can turn it back down to 72. So as we step towards the outside, we have what this home is actually called, which is the Desert Gold Playhouse. We have a really nice grill for everyone to use. This is a pretty high in demand product. If you're going to be buying your own Airbnb, I highly suggest you buy one and figure out whether you're going to be doing propane or charcoal, and just schedule it with your cleaners or your handyman to make sure it's checked up on and that tenants have an active working stove. Other than that, you come outside, you look, you got the fire pits are really big attractions for a lot of people, and especially in the desert and when it's like extremely dark out here, having a really nice booming fire to just kind of enjoy the warmth and get together, have a drink or so, and it makes this whole experience worth it. We have like these cool little coffee tables, and they're just there for if you wake up in the morning, you want to have coffee, enjoy the birds. We have our hot tub over here. The reason why we didn't get a really nice one just was mainly because of the price. At the end of the day, we're buying this Airbnb to make money, but honestly, this has worked and we've had a lot of positive comments about it. We have a really cool tetherball court. Not much to say about that if you like tetherball. Our favorite thing here is actually this beautiful disaster. Although it's been here for 11 years, has never been permitted initially. So when we were in the permitting process for this, it came up that it wasn't actually supposed to be here. So the options were to either get it permitted or tore down. So at that point, it wasn't really an option to destroy it. So the best option was to actually get it permitted. And the way we did that was basically by talking to the city, working with them, make sure that they get whatever they need. And after that, just moving a few things over. We had to move some stairs the way they want it. And that's honestly for the best too, because you also want this playhouse to be safe for your guests. So after you had the engineer come and inspect everything, basically they said, okay, the building and safety was said okay. And after that, our permit was okay. 3 months of lost rents because we had to get this permitted, and the actual cost of hiring an engineer and an architect to make sure that it is good to go and basically provide plans for the city. Because this is just so beautiful and it's a really big attraction for the Airbnb, it was basically a necessity. So this monstrosity here is actually the reason why we lost $20,000. And it's all about who, not how. And I don't really know the numbers, but I do know someone who does know. So let's check back in with our property manager and see how it's doing. So we lost $20,000. Tell me a little bit about how much we actually need, Vinci. Vinci's actually my business partner. We do pretty much almost everything together. He contacts our cleaners, our handyman, or anyone else who needs to be here when things go wrong. And honestly, without him, this business wouldn't run. So he's actually also our numbers guy too. So today he's gonna tell us a little bit about the numbers.
All right, what would you like to know, buddy?
So how much did we actually make our first month that we started? I know we was only like a half month, it was kind of weird. How did we do it and how many days were we actually open for?
So we actually went live on July 2021, and our first month we grossed about 7,500.
7,500, that's really good.
And then from the 7,500, we netted close to, according to my notes here, 4,500.
4,500, okay. What about the next month?
The next month was even better. Let's see here. The next month we grossed about 7,500 and we netted about 5,000.
5,000, wow, okay. Next month, let's do one more.
Let's see here. Well, at the end of the 6 months, we grossed about 52,000 and we netted close to 32,000.
32,000, man, just by these rough numbers, you can already tell, like, if you add these up for 12 more months and you divide it by your initial investments, which is for us, it was only around like 110,000. We're gonna have a wonderful cash on cash return on investment. What do you think about that?
I think that's a great return. Let's keep doing these deals, buddy.
Let's keep doing them. And from the numbers, I don't wanna sound too show-offy, but let's talk about actually what went wrong, what struggles we came across when we were actually starting our first short-term rental.
There's something to understand about running a short-term rental. It's really dependent on the seasons. So when we started in July and August were actually a slow season in Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley out here in the desert. Why? Because it's really hot. Typically the peak season out here is between October through May. We're killing, the numbers during that time. I think that that's something to be wary of. And in our property here, we actually ran into quite a few other tidbits, as you know, with permitting and looking at our structures that we have here. And so we had to accommodate and shift strategy.
Stuff like this kind of happens. That's kind of why you build reserves and basically have extra money saved up for when these rainy days actually happen. And that's how you kind of reduce your risk. So a lot of times people will say, oh yeah, it's really risky, and especially if like rents go down, you don't have enough occupancy. But we're building that already into our costs. So you have your CapEx, repairs, vacancy, all that stuff already adjusted for. So that's one way to kind of reduce your risk when you are looking to short-term rentals.
So we were doing great. And when we hit June 2022, our Airbnb got shut down by the city. Unfortunately, we had this amazing stargazing deck that was unpermitted. And if we wanted to continue short-term rentaling this property, then we had to ensure that we got the right proper permits.
Yeah, and honestly, that makes sense for building and safety reasons. So if we're gonna have people come and visit this place, if it's not like a safe building, you want to make sure it actually is structurally sound because safety is most important. One thing that you can do to actually fix that and avoid that, basically, is just make sure you look at all the permits and look with the city and just ensure that everything that's actually on there is permitted and is safe and ready to go before you actually apply for your Airbnb permit.
That's right. And we were closed down for how many months? About 3 to 4 months?
3 or 4 months. Thankfully, it was during the summer season, so it's usually the slowest season for the Joshua Tree National Park, mainly because it's too hot to climb.
That's right.
I'm a rock climber. And that's what we're here for. So what were our actual losses from getting shut down and not having it rented for 3 months?
Well, unfortunately, during those 3 to 4 months, yeah, we were off the booking platforms. And typically for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath property out here during the summer, low season in Joshua Tree, I would say we're losing about $4,000 per month. So that's about $12,000 right there. And the cost to permit and to do the engineering of that stargazing deck at our structure costs about closer to $8,000. So total, we were looking at a loss of about 20 grand.
So now it's back up and running. How did our first month back do?
Well, it was a little slow, to be honest, Jeff. You see, being off of the booking platforms for about 3 to 4 months kind of puts you down in the Airbnb and VRBO algorithm. Although we made our stargazing deck really unique, it took some time for us to get back up and running. And our first month, we did about 5 grand our first month. And which wasn't too bad, and we still profited pretty well. Our November, we did even better than that, and December, we're crushing it.
So compared to the same month in 2021, how are we doing in the same month now in 2022?
Yeah, because of that little hiccup, and we were a little slower to get back on the page on the OTAs and the booking platforms, we actually didn't do as great as the previous year. But you know, it's as long as you're cash flowing and you're still pushing through and utilizing the correct processes and systems, and you have a very unique place like we do, then our properties can just continue to perform.
Yeah, and that's like kind of one thing I wanted to mention regarding the AirBnBust. Yes, it's much less than 2021, but if you compare it to many other typical rental strategies such as long-term rentals, these are still home run deals, especially based off the amount of money that you're investing into this investment. So now we're back in 2022. What else are we offering to our customers to basically incentivize them to come back and see our beautiful home?
Well, for returning customers, you know, we always provide a discount for continuing stays, friends and family. At the same time, we also have more partnerships with people around the area for experiences. Whether or not you want to go ahead and ride horses or go explore the desert or do some yoga and sound meditation, we've partnered up with quite a few people locally who are now providing their experiences and resources for all of our properties here in the Joshua Tree area.
Yeah. In addition to that, I think this place is just getting a spice up. We're actually partly here today mainly to kind of add like little pieces to it and just make sure everything looks spruced up. So if there's like a broken cup, we'll just go and replace that. If we need a brand new vacuum cleaner, we'll go and replace that. If we want to add like more ping pong balls or more games to the game room, that's something we're also considering. All right, so some quick tips to actually avoid pitfalls such as permitting. I really want to suggest that everyone who's going into escrow in a house, make sure you call the city up and actually tell them what you're planning to do with the home. So for example, if you're going to do a short-term rental, make sure you give them like, hey, I'm going to turn this building into like a place where tenants can walk around and just kind of look around. And by having that or doing that upfront due diligence, it's actually going to basically protect you from a lot of potential downfalls because you can't just do things without actually telling the city. Make sure you tell the city exactly what you're going to do, mainly because if you can do that, they'll kind of point out to you potential pitfalls where they actually need stuff done. So say they aren't allowing you to have a jacuzzi put in a certain area, then you can just kind of scratch that like, no, I'm gonna do this somewhere else. And honestly, that's just the best way to figure out whether you can get stuff permitted and basically get plans. And if you could do it in escrow, it's gonna save you a lot of headache because you haven't closed on the home yet. If it's already yours, then you gotta figure a way around it and you gotta kind of maneuver. But by doing it up front, you're a little bit more flexible and you can just say, I can't do what I wanted to do with this house. I'm just gonna back out of this deal. Especially places like Joshua Tree, California, people expect you can just buy a bunch of land and then just put like tents, yurts, RVs over here. But it doesn't work like that. There are rules and regulations within the city, and that's not something that's actually possible. And if you want to know this, all you have to do is just do a quick call to the city and they'll tell you, no, you are not allowed to do this. So if you're looking to get a short-term rental permit, all you really need to do is just call again the city, because they are the ones who issue the permits, and then the county also. And you'll go in and fill out an application and basically look through it and comb through and just make sure everything is accurate as possible. They have things to look at such as taxes, occupancy taxes. Yeah, just fill out this form and you can find it online. And after that, you'll submit it to the city. They'll tell you whether you missed something or not, or whether you need to add something. There are rules and regulations you need to follow regarding like trash, how many cars are actually parked on the lot, how many beds and baths are in the house and how many people are allowed to stay at each bed and bath. And they also require that you provide tenants certain pamphlets and just to make sure that they know the rules and that there's quiet hours. And these are just things to consider during the permitting process. And if there's actually issues and you need to get something done with the permit, like say there's an issue of building permit and someone reported it, they actually will come out from the city and walk through the property and tell you, hey, no, this needs to be fixed before we actually have it ran as a business. So was this actually an Airbnb bust? To me, personally, I don't think so. The reason why, as a buy and hold investor, I am looking pretty much 50 years out or until I'm dead. I expect properties to appreciate at a 3% rate on an annual basis. And for that reason, I'm just gonna continue buying and holding this and making money on the appreciation. But on the bonus side, because this property is still cash flowing so well, sure, it's not doing $8,000 in profit, but $3,000, $5,000 in profit is still pretty dang amazing. And compared to my long-term rentals, this is actually incomprehensible. So for that reason, I'm gonna continue buying Airbnbs throughout this downturn, and I think they're gonna do extremely well as long as I run my numbers correctly. And in the description down below, there's a link to my PDF that actually teaches you how to buy a house in 3 months. And in addition to that, make sure you check out the listing to this Airbnb that we're in right now. You can go ahead and figure out why you need to have professional photography, and you can see that this is actually not an Airbnb bust. Comment down below if you think this is an Airbnb bust or if you think this is a home run. Like, comment, sub for more content just like this. And guys, I'm a new YouTuber. It really helped me out if you could just leave a quick comment, like, and sub, and also just to get more information on real estate investing and how I can help you up your game.